Hello, I'm Jyotika. Welcome back to Excelling Psychology. We have covered four concepts in this series: bias, causality, change, measurement. Now we are coming to perspective. So, in this series, I'm showing you how to apply concepts to a study so that you can practice for these concepts. It's about skill building. If you haven't watched the first video, bias video, please watch that because in that I've explained exactly how we are going about these lessons. So without watching that one, this one's going to be a little difficult to understand. Okay, and also before we begin, I want you to know that I'm a private tutor for IB Psychology and I also sell notes for your course. So if you're interested in buying those notes or if you want to schedule classes with me, my contact details and store link are available in the description box and pin comment below. Okay, so today we are going to discuss perspective. As always, first we will list down what are the common points that we can take to discuss perspective. Like this will help us across studies and theories. For perspective, you can always consider whether researcher's perspective is being investigated or participant's perspective. When it comes to measurement, we look at this as, a self-report in that sense. But here we're talking about the larger thing. Like we're not only about a particular tool that has been used, that is, say, self-report. Overall, the whole, guiding philosophy behind the study, is it to look at something from participants' perspective or is it to, look at it from a third person perspective, like researchers? So the first thing we will look into in perspective is researcher or participant perspective. Both are useful. Both can be strengths, depends on the situation. But participant perspective can be particularly useful if we are looking at internal processes of people. Like we have learning and cognition, even development to a great extent, relationships. Looking at things from participants' views because these are their mental processes, these are their lived experiences. It's always going to be a strength. Like these are constructs that we are interested in psychology. And the person who has the construct in their mind, they can only report it best. So self perspective is always a strength. Looking at things objectively from a third person view, from a researcher's perspective, can be a strength to the extent that it does not, introduce subjective elements like self-report issues and all. But it's not a very big strength because whenever researchers look at things from their perspective, like say, someone's having a divorce, they must be only sad because of that sort of imposition. It is likely to be far from reality. Only people can best tell us what they are going through. Constructs can be best described by people who are going through them. So, design of a study that encourages self perspective is always going to be a strength. You can call this self perspective. Another thing we look at is in terms of biopsychosocial perspective. We are learning broadly biological theories, psychological theories, sociocultural theories. Where does the study stand? Which perspective has been adopted? Each has its strengths and weaknesses. So, in fact, perspective is one issue when it comes to biopsychosocial perspective. You're definitely going to be taking it, right? You can take it as both strength and weakness. You'll be able to extract both points. For this one point, will you'll be able to show both sides, strengths and weaknesses. Because let's say if a stimulus is based on a biological perspective, very big strength, it's going to be reductionist, deterministic, which gives it predictability, which helps to assess it objectively, to establish cause effect relationships. But at the same time, that same reductionism overlooks the higher levels of understanding behavior in psychology, like what a psychological or a socio-cultural perspective would give us, a biological perspective cannot give us that. So, to the extent that perspectives are combined, they can be strengths, holistic perspectives are there. To the extent that singular perspectives are there, there's no consideration of any perspective, is going to be a weakness. And like I told you, preferably take both, show both the sides. Like any perspective, be it biological, cognitive, social, cultural, by itself, it has certain strengths and certain weaknesses, regardless of it is combined with other perspectives or not. So you can bring about those. Another thing we can always look at is the assumption of the perspective of generalizability. Here again, I don't mean sample to population generalizability. Are we assuming that everyone has a common perspective? When it comes to self perspectives, are we assuming that everyone looks at things in the same way? Like, are we assuming a nomothetic perspective, nomothetic approach like this? Or are we giving room for ideographic perspective? ideographic approach. People can have their own ways of looking at things. So the nomothetic versus ideographic perspective or approach debate can come into this. Again, both have merits and demerits, but generally nomothetic will be taken as a demerit, a weakness. What I mean by this is nomothetic seeks common laws, generalizable principles. That tends to be a weakness because human beings are way too diverse. Every human being is unique, so it becomes a sort of imposition of perspective to assume that everybody is having the same perspective on something. But then most studies are done that way. That's good for us. We'll always get a weakness to discuss for all the studies. If an ideographic perspective has been taken, say some focus group has been done, interview has been conducted, that's a strength because they've considered that people can have unique perspectives. Finally, like I told you, this will sound like, this point is overlapping with biopsychosocial because I told you we can take strength and weakness of both, but just another way of phrasing it can be, is it a reductionist or a holistic perspective? So to distinguish this and the previous, I would say biopsychosocial perspective, we are looking at which one has been taken, biological, psychological, or social. And here in reductionist holistic, we are considering, have they combined various perspectives, at least have they given consideration to other perspectives, or they have tried to keep it all to one perspective only. Reductionism again can be a strength because testability is there, cause effect relationships can be established, but generally it's taken as a weakness because it's not realistic. Human behavior is multi determined, it's very complex. Many influences are there on our behavior at any given point of time. So, reductionism in that sense will always be taken as a weakness. Holism is good, it's realistic, more ecologically valid, but it can be a weakness because of lack of testability. I tell you always I select those points which students find easiest to discuss, common points. So in common point sense, take reductionism as a weakness, take holism as a strength. If you want to go a little more advanced level, you want to show deeper critical thinking, you're able to go beyond what the average student is able to do, then take no more reductionist as a weakness and holistic as a strength also, no problem. Okay, so now I'm putting the stimulus in front of you. You can always skip the stimulus part if you're finding it repetitive, but we'll be this time marking it from the perspective approach. So we are not marking it like we had done for the other concepts. This marking, this annotation that we are going to do, it's going to be from the perspective. So the annotation is going to be different, though the stimulus is the same. So now that we have the common points in front of us from an active reading perspective, we are going to see which sections we can mark which will help us out in different points. Researchers wanted to investigate whether schemas influence memory for everyday events. Now, perspective is one concept, where the aim itself can help us. Otherwise, usually we don't consider the aim to provide anything like a point to us. Here, what is there? Whether they are taking a cognitive, biological, psychological, social, like cognitive, psychological is the same, socio-cultural perspective, that is becoming evident in the aim itself. They are taking a cognitive perspective. So what I had marked in the outline as biopsychosocial, that point I'm getting here. Which one has been taken? Cognitive, psychological. Because where did we learn about this? Simple. We have to think in our syllabus, where did we learn about schema and memory, learning and cognition, right? So we become clear that they are using cognitive perspective. Okay, coming to the procedure. So they recruited 120 undergraduate students from 3 universities. All that is about the sample, not directly helpful for perspective. They were told that study examined memory for short films and each participant watched a 2-minute video of a woman visiting a supermarket to buy groceries. They included 18 shopping events, but it deliberately omitted several common supermarket actions. After watching the video, participants completed 12 minutes Sudoku puzzle to reduce immediate rehearsal. They then answered a 40-item recognition test containing 20 events that appeared in video and 20 plausible that had never occurred. See this, this event that had never occurred, and researchers decided that these things should be there in a supermarket schema. This is a nomothetic approach. Because they are assuming that everyone's schema is going to be the same. They are assuming a generalized principle that whoever is going to see a supermarket situation is going to assume that these things will be there. So everyone's going to get triggered in the same way. Their memory is going to get triggered in the same way. Definitely nomothetic. They have not left any room for an ideographic perspective that okay, maybe people's schemas are different. This in fact you can mark in the sample also, though I didn't do it because it becomes complex. But the moment they have taken undergraduates, the moment they've taken students, they have made an assumption that whatever students have schema for supermarket, everyone in the population must be having the same. Again, nomothetic approach, because what if others don't have this perspective, right? Others don't look at supermarket shop in the same way. I had discussed this in bias also. So you can again refer to that video if you need a little more details on this. So definitely researchers are assuming everyone's going to get influenced in the same way by schemas on memory, and very specific supermarket schema they are assuming that everyone is going to have. So this becomes a definite nomothetic perspective. Another thing we note till here is that they have taken all these confidence ratings, and on the very first point I had written, like, is it a researcher or participant perspective? It's a participant perspective in that sense. It's a self perspective. What do I mean by this is the researchers are looking only firstly at something which is schema, which is internal to the person. Here I'm not talking about assumptions that they are making about what schema that will have. They will have. That I already told you nomothetic. Here what I'm saying is it's an internal process. It's a construct. It's something that is inside participants. The schema is not directly observable. So what the researchers are seeing is whether schemas are influencing them or not while they are doing recognition. Means they are taking a self perspective. They are assuming that what is within participants is going to influence the output that they get from this study. They are not directly assuming that schemas are influencing the memory. That they'll come to know from the recognition test that participants themselves have answered. That they'll come to know from the confidence rating that participants themselves have given. So what schema they have in their mind is going to get reflected in their own test performance, in their own confidence rating. So self perspective is being taken or participant perspective is being taken. Finally, we see the results. Participants correctly recognized an average of some means have been given, how much they recognize. So again, definitely that is a nomothetic perspective, because common things have been found out commonly, how many items were remembered and all. I'm not marking again, but definitely all this can support the nomothetic point and how many errors they made in remembering. The false memory is also most common. We see the wording is only most common, most commonly involved. Most people were remembering shopping basket, loyalty card, this, that. So it is definitely nomothetic. Very strong points, and you're actually expanding on the nomothetic point, you can give these examples there. So finally, what do we conclude? Conclusion is, till now in any concept it's not been important, but in schemas, it's in perspective, it's really going to help us. I'll show you how. The researchers concluded that existing schemas help people organize memories. This is very important, but may also lead them to remember expected events that never happened. Why it's very important? Because ultimately what the researchers infer, that shows what biopsychosocial perspective they've taken. Have they considered anything else or not? They have not. If participants have made errors in remembering what they saw in the video clip, they have assumed it's only and only because of schema. Did they tell us any biological factors playing a role? For example, did they mention hippocampus, frontal lobe, anything that contributes to memory? No. Did they tell us that from where the schemas are coming, cultural perspective, in their cultures they must be shopping in this way, that's why they feel that loyalty cards should be there? Because loyalty cards are not there in every culture, mainly they're there in Western culture. Have the researchers considered, have they mentioned also anything about this in the conclusion? No. So whether their perspective is reductionist or holistic, we come to know in the conclusion. It's definitely reductionist in this case, because they're assuming schemas are influencing memory. They're not considering any other factor that can influence, and even the schemas. They're not going to the depth of where did the schemas come from in the first place. Okay, now that we have annotated, I'll show you the annotation. Now we can finalize the outline for this answer. So when we talk about researcher or participant perspective, I marked something. Let's refer to that marking again. Here I mark self perspective or participant perspective. The fact that I told you they've taken confidence ratings and recognition performance helps to measure an unobservable construct like a schema. And that's a very useful perspective. That's a very useful way of going about a study which is based on schemas, on unobservable mental processes. There's no better way of doing it. So for the outline, I can just write participant perspective of schema influencing memory. This is the point we'll be expanding upon also. This is a strength. And when we are writing, we'll explain exactly why this is a strength. Biopsychosocial perspective, I marked over then the aim itself. They have only taken cognitive perspective. I will take it as a strength. I told you we can take it both ways. I'm going to take a weakness ahead. I'm going to point out how it's reductionist. So to make a different point here, what is the strength of the cognitive perspective? Like think about across topics. We have seen memory, schema, cognitive biases, and I don't remember what. So what have been common strengths across all these topics? Cognitive perspective has helped build us theoretical models of unobservable processes like memory, like schemas. Things which cannot be observed directly, the cognitive perspective has made it possible to study these things using an experimental approach, a controlled observation approach like this one, which we have on the screen. So it has helped us to tap into mental processes which definitely influence everyday life. Like when we're expanding, we can give a direct example. It's not just about the study that, okay, in this study, people marked something which was not really there in the video clip. In real life, how much their memory must be getting reconstructed. Most of you have done the Loftus and Palmer study, how people remember innocent people who have not even committed a crime as being criminals and get them imprisoned for that. That is the extent to which schemas can influence memory and affect people's entire lives. These type of fundamental mental processes which are influencing everyday decision making, big decisions, we are able to study because of cognitive perspective. So it's a very big strength. In this study, only cognitive perspective has been taken in a very important topic of how schemas influence memory, how it can make it reconstructive. That has been investigated. So very big strength. No other perspective gives that importance, that credit to mental processes in how they influence our behavior. Next, coming to nomothetic idiographic, that I marked in many places here. It is a nomothetic perspective, it's a weakness. There's a very strong assumption in this study that everyone's schemas are the same. And not only are the schemas the same, they're going to influence their recognition also in the same way, because directly they tell us most common errors were remembering the conveyor belt, remembering the loyalty cards. So they've just assumed that, okay, everyone has these things in their schema. Everyone is going to mark these things only in the recognition test because their schemas are there. It definitely reduces validity because it will not apply to everybody. People can have unique experiences of grocery shopping. Some might not have any experience of grocery shopping at all. So the influence of schema on memory that we are seeing here might not be applicable to those individuals at all. It reduces population validity, it reduces generalizability. So in the outline, what we can write is overgeneralized assumption of shopping schema. Weakness. Finally, is it a reductionist or a holistic perspective? It is a reductionist perspective, as I marked out in the conclusion. Only cognitive perspective has been considered. Okay, not everybody, because there's a pattern. Some participants' memory must be naturally weak. The brain areas which correspond to memory might not be functioning very efficiently or might be lesser developed in them. I know it seems far-fetched, but it's a truth. So not only in this study, in any other study which was assessing memory, they would have performed poorly. Randomly, they would have marked things, or they might just be guessing on the memory test that I don't remember anything I saw in the video clip. So let me assume, okay, it was a supermarket, must be, shopping basket must be there, loyalty card must be there. So it is undermining how much biological factors like brain's capacity of memory must be influencing their performance on the recognition test. In my opinion, even more importantly, the cultural aspect is very important to be considered here. Supermarket experience of certain things, conveyor belt in a supermarket in non-Western cultures, we have not seen conveyor belts. It's been seen mostly in Western countries. So how influential those are in creating a schema. Let's assume, okay, researchers are right. Most people in the West, their type of participants do have these elements in their schemas. So in that case, how much culture influences the development of such schemas? Exposure to these type of supermarkets, which have been made for efficiency, which have modernized features, that is something they did not investigate. It limits the investigation that their study has done. There was so much more to explore, so much more scope was there to see within schemas, which they did not in their study. So I take it as a weakness. So in the outline, I would say um, lack of exploration of cultural schemas, cultural experiences on development of schemas, which is a weakness. So this is what my outline looks like, and this is what the annotation looks like, which I showed you before also. Now I'm ready to practice one point. So we will expand on one point of perspective and see how it should be written in an essay answer. Do practice. Very strongly I urge you to write your full paragraphs and practice. That is very much required to get high grades in the exam. So let's revise the way of expansion. First, we think about what is the point that we are making. What strength or weakness are we going to discuss in the paragraph? Of course, in relation to the concept, let us point out to the examiner. One strength, I've taken strength first, of perspective is consideration of a participant perspective in this study. Okay, now this is pretty generic. Many studies have investigation of participant perspective. So in this study, what was the participant perspective that was being investigated? I need to give an example. In this study, participants' recognition of items on video clip and confidence ratings in memory were assessed to gain insights on their schemas. Okay, but I've said this is a strength. I have given a point, I've given an example, but I have not explained why is this a strength. So next comes explanation. This is a strength because. This is a strength because schemas are unobservable constructs, or we can just say not directly observable. And using this perspective, gives a way of accessing participants' mental, I can say subjective experiences or subjective processes, something like that. Then what do I do after I've explained that this is a strength also? Give a conclusion to the point. Link back to the question is asking me about perspective. So linking back to the broader issue of critically thinking about perspectives, what is all of this, what I've written here telling me? So therefore, or this shows that something. Therefore, using a participant perspective gives the strength of measuring constructs easily to the study. Okay, so that is it for perspective. Now we are left with only one concept, responsibility, which is a student favorite. It's the easiest one to write about, I agree, because responsibility has been taken mainly in terms of ethics in our syllabus. So that's what we'll be looking at next. Until then, keep practicing. 3 points which we have noted in the outline for this one, we haven't expanded upon. So that's your exercise. That is for you to practice. In the same way that I expanded on the first point, you expand on the remaining three and see whether you're able to do it. If you're having difficulties, revise the content, revise the concepts till you're able to do it to get a full 7 in the paper. So I wish you all the best with your practice, and I'll see you very soon again with the responsibility video, and then we'll complete this series. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.